What's going on, everybody? So today is the day that we're going to install the viewer's choice mod that you picked for my Toyota Tundra. And what that mod is the 12 volt solutions remote start. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to disassemble the truck first. We're going to get everything taken apart, the jacks have to get taken apart. Then we're going to route all the wiring. And then I'll show you how to program the module. And I do want to say that they don't show you how to program the module. They do send a piece of paper that says how to do it. And the reason they don't show you how to do it is because they said the software may change from time to time. So if that software upgrades, the way you actually set these up could change as well. So if you're watching this video and it's a few years down the road, you might want to refer to this sheet right here to make sure you get yours set up right, just in case some kind of software change has came down the road or some kind of rev changes came, and this may be modified just a little bit. But now this part should be the easy part. This shouldn't be too bad of an install, I wouldn't think. There are some tight places you have to get to, which is going to make it hard to get the camera to some certain places. But I'll do my best I can to show you how to do it. Should at least be able to show you where the plugs are, explain how it goes, and it should be pretty simple after that. So let me get the camera turned around here. I'll show you everything that comes in a box. Okay, so here's everything that comes in the box. You'll get some tie straps. Now there's not a ton of tie straps, so you will see here in a minute I do have some of my own. You get a big harness and one of your main harnesses. You get another harness right here with some smaller wires on it. And then you get a smaller harness here. One side goes on this side of the truck, and the other one slides in behind the dash. Now, I do want to say they're not playing around, because on this it says, keep away from small children. The thin film may cling to the nose and mouth and prevent breathing. This bag is not a toy. Man, they're not playing with them bags. But you get a module as well, and that's what everything plugs into. Now, I want to say you do get also a programming guide and a little piece of paper that kind of demonstrates the way some of it goes together. Now, I hope that these are all color coordinated. It looks like they are. I did look over it. It does look like everything in here is like color coordinated where it plugs up, because there's nothing they sent me that shows me how to plug these wires in. So hopefully that's pretty self-explanatory. But let me show you what tools you'll need to get this job done, and then we'll get it installed. Okay, so the tools you'll need for this install is a Phillips screwdriver, a pair of pliers, and the only reason I use these pliers is because I used a metal coat hanger to fish it behind the dash, so I needed something to actually straighten that out with, so that's the only reason you needed the pliers. A trim tool piece. I needed a light to be able to see up underneath the dash. I got some extra zip ties than what they gave you, something to cut the zip ties with, a roll of black tape, and some scissors just to cut the black tape kind of smooth so it's not jaggedy. And you'll need a 10 millimeter, a ratchet or something to take off your negative battery cable, and that's pretty much all the tools you'll need to install this remote start. So let's get this thing put in and see if we can get it working. Okay, I want to say I just cleaned this thing up really good yesterday. Spent several hours cleaning the inside of it, and now I'm gonna get fingerprints all over it. But oh well. So let me show you what you have to do first. So the first thing you want to do is actually start the truck, because this will make it easier. Let me make sure the stereo is cut off. Okay, so you want to turn your steering wheel to where you can see that screw right there, and we need to remove that screw. And then turn your steering wheel to the other side. There'll be a screw just like it on the adjacent side of it, and we'll need to remove that one as well. So as soon as I get these two removed, I'll be right back. And that's why I didn't know how long a screwdriver I needed. I don't know if a short one will work. It will work. I just didn't know exactly how long this was, and I didn't want to be pushing it on my airbag, but a normal size screwdriver will work. So let me get those removed, and we'll be right back. Okay, now that we got the screws removed, we should just be able to stick a pry tool right in here and pop this down. It may take me 2 hands to do it, so because I don't want to mess this up. But let me see if I can get a pry tool in here and just separate the top and bottom on both sides, and it should just pop right out. Although mine has this right here, and it may be more difficult to get that out because it has this little pedal control right there. But let me get that pop loose and I'll explain to you how I did it. Okay, I ran into my first problem. When you're trying to separate this, if you have one of these rings around your ignition switch right here from Tough Skins, you can see it comes right down through it. So I'm gonna actually have to remove this, which is gonna suck a little bit. I'll probably replace it, but I do have to remove this. So if you have this tough skins ring, it's gonna have to come off. Okay, so once I got that little ring off right here, it just popped right loose. I mean, it come right loose. So what I did to get this loose was I actually just kind of pushed on the edge, and it actually just popped loose for me. Now, from what I see, I can just pop this out right here, and that whole thing should come out. I don't know what's holding it right there, but there we go. It just comes right out. I don't know what that is, but it just came right out. So we'll set this in the back, and I may go ahead and detail this too, because you can see right here, it's pretty dull. So to make it match the rest of the truck, I'll probably go ahead and detail that section while I got out, because there's really no other way to do it. Okay, so the next section we need to remove is this right here. We should just be able to get our pry tool in behind it and pop it right out like that right there. And then this right here is the same way. We should just be able to pull on this a little bit, and it should just pop loose. Now, they said in their video you don't have to take this all the way out because we don't have to access anything behind it. You just need a place to zip tie the module. So I'm not going to pull this down quite as far as they did. I'm not comfortable with doing that, but I am going to leave it out just so that when we get to that point, I can figure out how to get behind it and zip tie that in back there somewhere. But they had it pulled way back down. I'm afraid that'll stress it right here, and I don't know, I'm just really picky about my trucks, so that freaks me out just a little bit, but that's how you get it loose. Okay, we're on the passenger side. You can see the glove box right there, and if you come down underneath it, you can see these holes like right here, here, there's one over there. Now, if you take a little pry tool like this right here and stick it up in there, there's little things you can push on, and this will pop down. There's also a little plug over here that you have to snap. It just kind of snaps up in there, and that should be all it takes to remove that. So there's no way I can do that and hold the camera at the same time, but I'll show you what it looks like after I get done. You'll just need some kind of tool like this to actually get up in there and pop those loose. But after I get it down, you'll see exactly what I was talking about and what you need to do to actually remove that panel. Okay, so here's what that panel looks like. You can see these little tabs right here, right here, right here, and there's one over there, and there's just a little clip right here, and then in the back there's just little pieces that slide up in grooves. If you take your little panel tool like this right here, and it sticks up in here, you push these down, and you pull down on it with your other hand while you're doing that. Now, it's a little tricky because mine kept sliding off, but once I figured out the hang of the first one, the rest of them popped right out, no issues at all. Okay, now they didn't say to do this in their video that I seen, but before I plug anything up, I'm actually going to remove the negative battery terminal on my battery, because I don't want any electricity going through anything while I'm unplugging and disconnecting plugs to lights and ignition switches, stuff like that. So go ahead and unplug your negative battery cable. Okay, so now it's time to start unplugging some stuff. You have a headlight switch right here that you got to unplug, and then you come around the other side. Back here in the back, there's an ignition switch plug that also has to come unplugged. Right there's that one right there. Now, the only other plug I think we need to get to is the reason we had to take that piece off over there, and I'll show you which one that is right now. Okay, if we look up in here and you see that yellow loom right there, if you look right behind it, there is a gray box right here. My light may be blinding it out. There it is. You can see that gray box. There's a plug in that gray box, and we need to unplug that plug right there. So it's right here where my finger's pointing. We need to unplug that one. So I'll need 2 hands for that, but that's the one you're going to need to unplug underneath here. Okay, so you can see this little plug I just unplugged. Now you'll need the harness that has 2 ends on it here with a big long red end. So it should just be a great big long wire. This is the one you're going to have to fish back through here to the other side. And then of course these 2 right here will just plug up here. You'll have the female side on your harness that plugs into this, and then of course the corresponding male end side will plug back into that gray box up underneath there. And then I'll show you how to fish this right here across as soon as I get this right here plugged up. Okay, when you're plugging all this up, just make sure you listen for the click, and I just kind of stuffed it back up underneath there. If this ever starts rattling, I will actually zip tie everything, because that'll drive me crazy. But now comes the time for your your coat hanger that you actually straightened out. You want to take this little red wire right here and tape it somewhere on this coat hanger. I'll probably kind of tape it somewhere towards the middle or somewhere right in here. And make sure you tape it good, because you don't want to rip the wires out of this, because if you do, you're kind of dead in the water. So just take some electrical tape, wrap around it good, like so. Right, we're just going to take this and try to fish this in behind it right here. I don't know how easy or hard this is going to be. Don't know where the room is. Can't see back up in there. Tell you the truth, there's not a lot of room. There's not much room at all back up in there. I wonder if I can go behind this. Looks like we're going to go in behind that right there. So looks like it probably came out on the other side. So there's a big black plastic box right here, and I went in behind that box. You can't go in front of it, you have to go behind it. So that should get you to the other side. And then once we get this thing over there, we'll actually zip tie this wire up in here to some other wire looms to keep it from dropping down like this right here. Okay, we're on the other side of the vehicle. As you can see, sure enough, right here we are. Came right out, no issues, and that was pretty easy actually. And this right here will be a wire that plugs into one of the other wiring harnesses. And then one of the wires on the wiring harness that you this plugs into will plug into your module. But that's how you get it through to the other side right there. Okay, so now we have our main big harness right here, and we're just going to plug that in to the big harness here. Again, make sure it snaps. You have the opposite male end here, which will have to come back up inside, which is pretty tight and difficult. And it should plug in there. There we go. Heard it snap, so we're in. Now what you want to do with the rest of this is kind of tuck it up underneath here and zip tie it to something. And then we're going to have to route this back up in here. This will actually come back to the other side over here and plug into the module once you're done. So I'm just going to actually pull it back up out this side like so. But we will need to zip tie this somehow to make sure that it doesn't rattle around when we put the clamshell back on. Plus we're going to get this stuff up out of the way to where the clamshell will actually go back on. Okay, so now we're on the other side. You have the little wire here that you just unplugged, and you have the 2T harness right here, and you'll just plug this side into their harness, and then this one back into your regular harness. That right there. And again, listen for the click. There are a couple of wires we're going to cut before we get done, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, before we get on down to forcing this wire back through here and stuff like that, there are a few wires that we will need to cut. I believe they said this orange wire was for a Sequoia, so we don't need it, so we're just going to cut it off. Not going to cut it all the way back, but I'm just going to, snip it. And I'm going to put some tape around that. And then there is a wire right here that's for the XD only. We don't need it, so I'm just going to snip it off. And then they also said that if you have auto headlights, which I do, you need to cut this yellow loop right here. So I'm just going to cut that, and I'm going to put black tape around all those wires that we just cut off, and then we'll get all this stuff tucked back in behind the dash. Okay, now that we have all the wires cut, we just need to actually stuff this stuff back down in here, because this big wire right here is actually the one that hooks into your OBD2 sensor. We just need to snake it down behind this big one. Like so. There we go. Now these up here, these will actually plug into your module, so you don't need to snake those down, just that big one. Okay, so once you're down here, you'll need to push on this on the sides with like a little pry bar or something. I've already done it to pop it loose. This is your OBD2 port. Pull it out. Then take the side that corresponds with it with their harness. Pop it in until it snaps. And then you can just take this one and pop it right back in to where the other one was. I'm just trying to figure out how it was in there. There we go. No, it got it right there. I thought I had it upside down, but it popped right in. Now what we need to do is, when we get this all done, I'll do this at the end. It's just zip tie this stuff up where it's not hanging down. But I want to make sure everything works before I get everything zip tied and then wind up having to cut it loose or something. Okay, I know this is terrible to see, but this little wire right here is the one that I snaked from the other side. And that red wire right there is connected to this harness with this blue plug. That red wire has to plug in to that plug right down there. So I'll get that done because there's no way I can do that one-handed, but that's the next step after you get everything kind of tucked back up underneath your dash. Okay, so since I actually had to program the module, I'm actually going to go ahead and put my battery cable back on before I plug up the module, because I'm not sure how much time you have once you get it all set up to actually program it. So all the wiring should be plugged back in except for the module. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this back on, my negative cable back on. All right, we're good to go there. I think we have to shut the hood for this as well to test it. Okay, next we have to plug this up. It looks pretty straightforward, but this is the part I didn't really get any instructions with. So hopefully it just, you know, the big plug plugs in here like that. And then it looks like there's only one place that this blue plug can go. Then this black plug looks like it should go over here. The big black plug looks like it should go right there. And that says Tacoma only. So actually that may be completely plugged up. Looks like it is, because that green plug right there says Tacoma only. The red plug plugged into that plug. So that should be completely plugged up. So now this next part where I show you how to actually, you know, set it may change. So like I said, if you buy yours after a few years after this, you may actually have to check this piece of paper to make sure you're doing it right, because it may not be the same as mine if the software's changed. So okay, we're going to do this. We're going to turn the key to the on position. The LED is back here on the back, and then it says turn key off. Then it says start the vehicle for 15 seconds. And then it says press and hold brake pedal, and then press and hold, press and release module programming button. Okay. And then it says release the brake pedal. And then it says that'll flash twice and the module is complete. So okay, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try it, see what happens. Okay, here's the moment of truth. 1, 2, 3. It worked. I did it. It worked. If I can do it, anybody can do it. That's crazy. Now I think you hit it 3 more times and it should shut off. Amazing. Now there's something else I want to check. They say if you get in it, you know, there are a few fail features. So we're going to check this out. Let me get you closer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to remote start it. Then I'm going to unlock it. When I open the door, it shouldn't shut off like them crappy factory Toyota ones. I hate that. That's the thing I hate about it is when you open the door, they die. One of the hardest things on your vehicle is starting it, and that's stupid that they do that, because that's just putting extra wear on your engine, in my opinion. But this one, you're supposed to be able to open the door. Then if you put the key in the ignition and turn it on, it doesn't die. And then what we're going to try next is we're going to actually redo the whole thing. And I think if you put your foot on the brake pedal, it should die. So the first thing we're going to do is check it to make sure the door doesn't, when you open it, doesn't shut off. And if you put the key in the ignition, you're good. We're going to check all that. Then we're going to cut it off and redo the whole thing, except we're going to step on the brake pedal and see if it kills it. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3. Worked perfect. So now we're walking up, we'll unlock the door. It does not die. We get in the vehicle, put the key in, put it in gear, we can move, no big deal, everything's good to go. Cut the key off, dies just like normal. One last test. All right, let's check it again. We'll lock the door and then we'll go 1, 2, 3. You hear that extra beep it does? That's telling you it's working. So the truck started, everything's good. Unlock it. Now I think if we hit the brake pedal, it should die as like a theft deterrent. Died right away. Everything is working perfectly with this. All I have to do is get this all zip tied in there. I may put some videos at the end to show you how I got that zip tied, but you don't want to see me zip tie this, because if you ain't bleeding, you ain't working. I'm already bleeding, so I'm sure I'll get scratched all to pieces trying to get this thing zip tied in there and trying to get everything you do now is just in reverse order. You zip tie everything in, pop your dash back in, put your clamshell back on, put that piece back up underneath the side, and put this side piece back on. It's all reverse order. Everything you see me do at the beginning of the video, you just do in reverse order, and it should be all buttoned up back together. But I'm liking it so far. Okay, so there it is. That was pretty simple. I ain't gonna lie. I was kind of dreading this because I seen all these wiring harnesses, but it is exactly what they say it is. Direct plug and play. You do have a few wires you need to snip and stuff like that if you got auto headlights and stuff. If you don't have the auto headlights, you don't cut that yellow wire, but straight plug and play. Now, one of the benefits of this, of course, is in the wintertime, you can turn your heat on. Now I have, climate control, so I just set mine to a temperature, and whether it's hot or cold, it depends on where the heat or the air conditioner comes on. But if you don't have climate control, you'll need to make sure you set that, because when I put the MPC on my Jeep, I would forget to turn on the heat or the defroster, and I'd come outside, my vehicle be running, but it'd still be cold in there, so it totally defeated the purpose. So if you don't have climate control, make sure that you do set your settings for air conditioner or heater before you get in it. But not only is this good for the winter time for turning on the heat or defrosting your windshield, which is what I primarily use it for in like the Jeep and stuff, but when you go somewhere like Florida and it is 1,000,000 degrees, you can leave the air conditioner on as well. And like what I used to do when I had it in my F-150 is, from the balcony of where I was at, I would just lean over and start my truck. And in that F-150, I had climate control as well. So I'd just lean over and start my truck. And by the time I got in those slow elevators, waited on everybody to get on the elevator on the way down, and got out to my truck, it's 98 to 100 degrees in Florida, and it was a cool 68 in my truck. So not only does it work in the winter, and everybody goes, I don't have, cold weather that I need it with, but you may have some hot weather, and it works just as good in that as it does in the cold weather. Again, this is pretty simple. I'll link 12-volt solutions in the link below, so if you want to pick one of these up, you can. Follow those easy steps. Literally, if I hadn't have been videotaping this, the whole install would have probably took me 30 minutes or less. Now, videotaping stuff, it does take a little bit longer, and from the magic of YouTube, this video was nowhere near 30 minutes or longer for you guys, but literally, it would have probably, I know it would have took me less than an hour, but it would have probably took me less than 30 minutes to do the whole thing. So it's pretty simple. Anybody can do it. I think it is a great upgrade for the Toyota Tundra, and I want to throw a big thank you out to you guys for picking this as the viewer's choice mod, because I was kind of hoping you would, because I really like remote starts. Appreciate you guys watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.